But we're going to find out this guy's paid a lot of people for influencers. Like
Oh yeah,
he bought various bloggers off.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I
I'm
mean, yeah,
happy. There's no photograph of me with him. I'm
yeah,
very happy.
good. I don't want to see one. That's good because yeah, it was something around 70 million to the Democrats. But I'm on the same page as you. I'm really curious what he paid to media. I mean, Kevin O'Leary was on CNBC a couple days ago talking about his $15 million check, and then saying he'd kind of, he'd support the guy in the future. And it's like, what are you talking about? I think there's like a big sum, and I wonder if that's why he was getting this white glove treatment from the media across the board. Found it very curious.
It's very, very weird, but we know that places like CNBC, they're giving lob balls to it. Well, I think that it's very political, and
Okay.
we see like a lot of people didn't realize how much money he gave to both parties, but predominantly the Democrat Party. And his mother and father are professors, legal and law at Stanford, and they're very big in raising money for the Democrat Party. So if most of the Beltway agencies are Democrat, and he gave all this money, I think $5 million to the White House. He was the biggest funder going into this midterm elections. So people are going to give him that. I think that that's what's going to happen. And the person that turns on him was the guy that gave money to the Republicans. But he only gave it to Republicans that were pro the crypto space. So it's political. Both parties, I don't know how it's going to resolve itself. And you just hope there's going to be justice that will prevail. And I that's all I hope, because he's a real psychopath. This is a psychopath, and I was told by my lawyers are telling me that it creates value for old guys like me. If there was nothing with white hair around him giving guidance about volatility, corporate governance, risk management, and he's above all that. And one of the things is that I had no interest in meeting him when I saw him on a picture and an interview on stage with Prime Minister Tony Blair and President Bill Clinton in shorts and flip-flops, like he's above them.
Yeah.
He's above them. And to me, it was just disrespectful. I don't care he went to MIT and his parents were at Stanford. I just found it was just disrespectful to incredible leaders of the world.
Yeah.
And so other people jumped all over to he promised $15 million to one guy, $5 million to another to write all these good stories about him and promote. That's that's not ending. The influencers and who's an influencer, the regulatory world's going to go after that. But I think that the crypto space, it's very challenged, not only with characters like him and the high leverage of all these exchanges and shadow banks, I like to call them, like Celsius and Voyager, that's, we're a quasi bank when they're not, because there's no controls and capital controls. I think they'll all get washed out, and I think what will come out of it will be sort of positive and constructive, because blockchain's not going away, and digital decentralized assets are not going away.
No.
And so I remain positive long term. And Hive, Hive has been still the most efficient miner of all the crypto miners. I'm very proud of it. I'm surprised that some have market caps the same or bigger than us, and we make 9 times they did last quarter in EBITDA. Last year we did 10 million. Bitcoin was much higher, and Ethereum we did 10 million in revenue per employee. Goldman Sachs is $1 million. Royalty companies like Franco-Nevada, we get 34 million in revenue per employee. They're the darlings for efficiency ratio. But I think that all these crypto miners, which started out of Vancouver, there's good structure, good discipline. All the CEOs of the miners are very mature. They're much more sophisticated than when Hive first went public.
Yeah.
And so I think that industry, I think we need more professionalism in all these guys that hang their hats as being exchanges or shadow banks or whatever they're doing. There has to be greater credibility put in there. But we're going to find out this guy's paid a lot of people for influencers. Like he bought various bloggers off.
Well, I mean,
There's no photograph of me with him. I'm very happy.
Good. I don't want to see one. That's good because it was something around 70 million to the Democrats. But I'm on the same page as you. I'm really curious what he paid to media. I mean, Kevin O'Leary was on CNBC a couple of days ago talking about his $15 million check, and then saying he'd kind of he'd support the guy in the future. And it's like, what are you talking about? I think there's like a big sum, and I wonder if that's why he was getting this white glove treatment from the media across the board. I found it very curious.
It's very, very weird, but we know that places like CNBC, they're giving lob balls to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bloomberg's giving lob balls to him, and so that's the difficulty you see. But there's no doubt he's harmed this industry.
Why do you hate him?
Why do I significantly?
Because all those people lost their money. And, there's it's causing chaos. I feel terrible for all these people who lost money. That's why I hate him. Ugh, it's disgusting.
The two guys popped to please Caroline Ellison and Gary
they flipped
Wang.
like pancakes.
They flipped, but it turns out that they actually did engineer a backdoor into FTX, and Alameda has been doing this
Wong
for years.
wrote it.
That's game over.
They're getting 10 years. He's getting life. Game over.
Well, should we talk about that interesting defense strategy that we were discussing in the chat?
Oh, yeah.
That apparently, I think this is actually a fascinating defense strategy. I think this is their only shot. One of our besties had this theory that he was prescribed 2 prescription drugs. One was Adderall. What was the other one called? This was not a drug.
ESAM?
The patch.
It's a drug I wasn't familiar with. I guess it's a patch. But when you combine these 2 things, apparently it basically shuts down or kills the part of your brain that deals with
inhibition.
It's cocaine.
Yeah.
What if his defense strategy was, like only an insane person would do this, and I was acting insane because I was prescribed these drugs that had these drug conflicts. But this, you could say maybe he was legally prescribed it if you could show the prescription. By the way, I'm not saying this should get him off. We're basically workshopping what his only shot of his defense would be, right?
Well, and think about it, Sachs. He acted manic after FTX collapsed. So that mania of doing 20 Twitter spaces would be
There's
evidence.
Something so insane about what he did, right? It's almost like a prescribed insanity defense. Like I was prescribed a drug combination that made me insane.
The only way that you could come up with that is like you'd have to have 2 parents that were like law professors or something.
All right. Most loathsome company, FTX
what if
for me.
This is his defense,
Yeah, my parents.